Former President Trump said he would find it very disloyal if former Vice President Mike Pence or other members of his former cabinet sought the GOP presidential nomination in 2024, seeking to send a warning to a number of figures weighing potential White House bids. Many of them have said they would never run if I run, so we'll see if that turns out to be true, Trump said Friday during a brief phone interview with Fox News radio host Brian Kilmeade. I think it would be very disloyal if they did, but that's okay, too. Trump boasted that the polls have me leading by 40, 50 points and said he would decide on whether to pursue another presidential bid in the not too distant future. The former president has not said whether he intends to run, but has openly flirted with seeking a return to the White House. Most polls show Trump as the clear favorite to reclaim the Republican nomination if he were to run, but several other high profile Republicans like Pence, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, among others, are also reportedly considering a bid for the White House. We'll get into that in a second. Earlier this week, Pence took several swipes at Trump, warning conservatives against veering too far toward unprincipled populism during a speech to the Heritage Foundation in Washington, D.C. Trump has been sharply critical of his former vice president for not going along with his plan to stop the certification of President Biden's Electoral College victory on January 6, 2021. Okay, so this is an interesting statement by him because I think it's, what's the way of putting it? It is a warning to Pence, Pompeo, and Haley, but in particular, it's a warning to Pence because, as the article points out, Pence gave a speech that made some pretty thinly veiled shots at Trump. Haley is a flip flopper because when the insurrection happened, she went, I condemn this in the strongest, unequivocal manner possible, and this was one of the worst, blah, 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 right? And a short time later, she's like, oh, but I'll totally support Trump if he runs for president in 2024. And you know why, right? Because she, it's another one of these politicians that's trying to get to, climb up the ladder and mingle with the Trump cults that the GOP currently is, where if you say anything against their leader, you will be toast in any election, even if you voted and support his position over 90% of the time with Liz Cheney. But anyways, you gotta, in a way, him saying this kind of reminds me of Hillary in 2016. So the reason the 2020 Democratic primary was massive and had over 20 people running and was the largest presidential primary ever was because a lot of those people wanted to run right after Obama's term ended, but didn't want to get in the way of Clinton because there was this belief that she was like entitled to a nomination, which is why when Sanders ran against her, a lot of people would accuse him of being a woman hater and why are you trying to stop the first female major party? That dumb garbage that had nothing to do with actually believing in issues. I guess what I'm getting at here is when I like, you would have to think if Trump really believes he's going to win this nomination, it doesn't matter who they run against him, he's a winner, he's leading at 40, 50 points. Would he really have to say it's disloyal to run against him? Wouldn't he rather just run with his 40, 50 point lead and just crush everybody and get the nomination again? Unless he thinks there's a chance he might not win. But he also remembers that he's still like he's a popular figure for Republicans, but there's still a chance that they might be sick of him because we already talked about this before. Grover Cleveland was a one-time thing of someone losing the White House then coming back and then winning it again. So he, by saying the thing about the loyalty, right, that could be a thin like a plot thread of, hey, even if he loses to Pence in some hypothetical primary, or Haley, or Pompeo, which I don't think the latter two are going to win. I already explained that before, but just hypothetical. Maybe one of his ways of being like a sore loser or messing up whoever the Republican nominee is, if it's one of those three, is by going, well, they weren't sufficiently loyal to me, so I don't think my voters, the people who supported and wanted me to be the nominee again, should be voting for someone like that. And then that's his way of stopping the Republicans from getting the White House in this next cycle. So that's just the theory I have, that he doesn't truly believe he's got this 40-50 point lead, because if I was leading a presidential primary, or at least I truly believed I was leading with 40-50 points, I wouldn't care who entered the race, because I'm confident of the fact that I'm going to win. So whoever decides to join or compete, it, we'll deal with and show how much better we are when we run against them. We don't have to make thinly veiled threats of loyalty. It's like, what kind of loyalty are you talking about? I mean, in what way has he said anything loyal about Pence since his tenure as president ended? So I don't know what that's why I said, when he says stuff like that, I'm just reminded of the Trump cult, because it's really not, it's a real thing. It's just ugh.